Now, the SNP MP Pete Wishart has come under fire from pro-independence activists and social media after announcing he intends to stand for the post of Speaker of the House of Commons. He says he wants to be the first post-war Speaker to emerge from beyond the two main parties. He's here.
Yes.
Right. And you said, actually, that should it ever be a case wherein you were Speaker in the Commons and you had a casting vote, you'd vote against Scottish independence, because traditionally that's a Speaker votes with the status quo.
Well, I didn't say that, and I never would say anything quite like that. I mean, it was posed by the question that it's conventional for the Speaker to back the status quo, which is the case even for the presiding officer. But what I did say was there was never be an occasion where that would actually be tested in the House of Commons, because it's not really within the gift of Westminster to decide on these issues. And it's the same as the presiding officer in the Scottish Parliament. There's an expectation.
What's a bit more ambiguous, because the point about the Speaker's role is you vote for the status quo should you have the casting vote. Much more likely, or at least less impossible, is that the Speaker could have a casting vote, for example, on whether to grant a Section 30 order.
But there you see, you don't get into precedence there.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so like, there's no issue with that at all.
So you could vote for that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's only when it comes to legislation, bills and perhaps motions of the House where there's a suggestion of precedence, and that was what John Bercow had to exercise a few weeks ago. And there's only actually been 2 examples and cases where, since the war, where the Speakers actually had the casting vote. So, I mean, where I was interested in that line of inquiry and questioning it, isn't really relevant at all to an SNP Member of Parliament becoming Speaker.
Okay.
And it might be crushing news to you, but I'm not starting as one of the hot favourites for this position. And our friends at Ladbrokes have given me an opportunity of 50 to 1 to secure this position.
I mean, that leads me to what my next question was going to be anyway, which is who's going to vote for you? Where are you going to get the... I mean, you don't have the backing of the SNP to do this, do you?
Well, what it is that you come within the ranks of members of Parliament, and there's always been a third-party representative for the post of Speaker. It was Sir Alan Beath at the last Speaker election. So what I'm going to do is give a choice beyond the great and the good.
But you don't have the backing of your own party, do you?
Well, I'm pretty certain we'll get the backing of my own party, but this is a decision that comes from within the ranks of members of Parliament. It's not a party decision, so I wasn't there to seek that. What I'm doing is offering an option beyond the great and the good of the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. And why not? Because what I'll take forward is a real reforming agenda to try and bring Westminster screaming and shouting into the 21st century. And what it is, it's a fantastic opportunity to raise some of the issues that we currently always see about Westminster, the voting, for example, 20 minutes to count heads as we go through lobbies.
One of your other ideas, isn't it, is that if we were in Parliament now, I could refer to you not as the member for Perth, but as Pete Wishart.
Absolutely. I mean, why on earth do we refer to people with this prefix of honourable? And I'm sure there are loads and loads of our viewers out here who would take great exception to that. And being rebuked for clapping, and what replaces clapping is a strange braying, almost like perfidious donkeys on speed when they're actually trying to show approval in the House of Commons. I would end all these nonsensical conventions. The suggestion that somehow the Speaker is responsible for how members of Parliament should dress to come to the House of Commons, I would propose the end to that. I would want the House of Commons to look and feel like a modern, proper Parliament. And as long as we're there, as the First Minister says, let's try and make the place better.
Right. But of course, that might give MPs some hesitation that they're voting for a Speaker who would like nothing better than to be kicked out.
Well, at some point we will be leaving the Parliament, and I think that's quite an attractive proposition and idea. I'll be in a hurry to get this agenda through. I'll probably approach some of these issues more dispassionately, given the SNP have had a clear intention.
But you can understand why some SNP activists are somewhat sceptical about this idea of Pete Wishart, great reformer of UK constitutional arrangements.
Well, you know, I mean, I've been in the House 18 years, and I think there's a bit of an obligation and responsibility to try and improve the place as you go through your career in the House of Commons. So I sort of see it like as a parting gift, you know, to try and ensure that we get the procedures and workings and mechanisms of the House of Commons up to speed before we actually leave the place and come back to Scotland.
Now, some cynics might say that one motivation you might have is that should you become Speaker, the convention is that you're returned unimposed in your constituency where you have a majority of reminders.
Well, it's 21, Gordon.
Right.
I mean, attractive as a proposition that is, it's not exactly true, because we actually contested Michael Martin in 2005 general election, and John Bercow was contested famously by Nigel Farage. And I'm sure the Conservatives would be absolutely gutted if that was the case, because my last opponent, when he was defeated, was put to the House of Lords, and the one before that became an OBE. It's a means to achievement and enhancement if you stand against Pete Wishart in Perth, North Perthshire.
All right. Pete Wishart, thank you very much indeed.